Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Artist Exchange podcast. This is our third, maybe fourth show of the new year. Season 10, 10 years of the Artist Exchange radio show. And I took a break last year, and so you've seen me a little bit less, but I've been producing other podcasts on this platform, some for others and some for actually the platform, but you'll be able to see them if you go to our YouTube page at the Artist Exchange Media Hub, and you'll be able to catch up on some of those old episodes and some of those other shows that I've been producing. And we have some new shows starting in the next couple months. Starting actually this month, going all the way into the summer, we have three new shows coming, and we have a couple more, and we're working on one as we speak with our illustrious guest. I'll start by giving her bio of Mama Jaki Terry, who I met at the illustrious Coppin State University, with theatrical affiliations that include Arena Players, Inc., Coppin Repertory Theater, formerly Coppin Players, A Coppin, and the New World Art Ensemble, or Boomworks Productions. Jaki Terry remains a notable fixture in the performing arts community since 1992. Her poetry has appeared in numerous publications, including Black Voices in 1994, The Pearl, The Baltimore Sun, Jambalaya magazine, and is one of four contributors in the anthology When Divas Laugh, edited by, what's her name? I don't want to mess it up.
Shazia
Sazia Thompson Carger,
Cager.
Cager. Her theater and film credits include For Color Girls, The Talented Tenth, Shaking the Mess Out of Misery, The Amen Corner from the Mississippi Delta, Crucible, Blood Wedding, The Zen, Substitute, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Homicide, Life on the Streets, and Absolute Power. She has co-authored numerous plays, and has worked extensively as a workshop facilitator, director of children's theater with organizations like the Baltimore Office of Promotion of Arts, Maryland State Arts Council, Baltimore Clayworks, Young Audiences of Maryland, the Coppin State University Dance Foundation, Wombworks Production, as well as the People's Program, and the first wave hip hop theater ensemble at the University of Wisconsin. Jaki Terry received her BS degree in Urban Arts, UAP, Speech and Theater, with a minor in English from Coppin State University, and her MFA in the Theater and Drama, with a concentration in acting and directing, and the Theater for Cultural and Social Awareness at TCSA from the University of Wisconsin-Madison. Without further ado, we have Miss Jackson. I said Miss Jackson. I'm reading five different things. We have Mama Jaki with us. I'm glad to have you. We are doing a part two to a networking series that I partnered with the Black Arts District and now the Black Ass Flea Market brand with Miss Bree. We do a monthly series, and we have so for the last 2 years, and we're now in our third year. And Mama Jaki was our first facilitator for 2024, and we had a little couple technical glitches, but we're back, and we're going to do the full out presentation today, and we're going to actually cut this up into 4 parts, and we're going to do 3 additional parts so we can give you all the information that you need. The workshop series that we do each month, in partnership with the Black Arts District, myself, the Artist Exchange, and Bree from Black Ass Flea Market, we bring you individuals like Mama Jaki to give you the soft and hard skills that you need to better your business, start your business, refresh, rebrand, restart your business as best you can. Mama Jaki's workshop dealt with Who Are You Uninterrupted? And that's a writing workshop that we're going to start today, where we show you, or Mama Jaki rather, because she's the expert, show you how to write your narrative, how to draw up the energy from within and create artist statements, blogs, about sections, or your social media posts, so they're more authentic to who you are and not some other person who no one knows, including you. So today we're going to start with a workshop, and I want to first get to know Mama Jaki a little bit for all of the people who may not know her. She ran away from Baltimore a couple years ago, and we found her, and we now have her on the screen with us. So without further ado, Miss Mama Jaki, how are you?
I'm good. Got me
That
running
was a
away.
lot. So how have you been?
I've been good. It's a real honor to get back into what brings me joy, and I love the
Mm,
performing arts, and I love more than acting. I enjoy teaching other people how to do the same.
mm,
So yeah, this is an opportunity for me to jump back in
mm,
and just explore, take folk along the way that want to explore too, and give people give people permission to explore themselves
okay,
from
okay,
an artist standpoint, and
mhm,
to be able to market themselves in a way that makes people stand up and take notice.
okay. And it's writing for me. I was talking to Mama Jackie and preparing for this, and I spoke about another professor that we had at Coppin State University, and she made a statement to me that broke me because it made me mad at first, but it made me understand what my hesitation in writing was. And she asked me, did I have a phobia of writing? And many of us in the educational field, both teachers and students alike, we have had some type of incident happen that could mentally stop us from really being our most authentic self. And for me, it was being accused of plagiarism. And I worked on that piece so hard that to be accused of plagiarism kind of mentally, I believe, stuck with me. And it became hard for me to journal or write my thoughts or create anything about me. Like I would always overthink it, or I would hesitate, or I wouldn't do my best. And when I was younger, it forced me to plagiarize because I could not get it out of myself. So I would find other ways until this new savvy world we come across that made it hard to copy or cheat. But I am speaking to Mama Jackie about doing this workshop in general. It really came to me in that moment that that was an issue of mine, and writing for the purpose of work, writing for the purpose of branding yourself and getting grants. You got to always have an about me section or talk about yourself. Even just getting up, talking about who you are
Mhm.
can be very difficult if you've had some unresolved issues. So art in and of itself is a healing space and a space for you to kind of right some wrongs and get some things right. And I wanted Mama Jackie to help us to learn how to express who we are. And today she will help me to do that and teach me how to best present myself, whether it be social media, whether it be in an artist statement, but helping me to be my most authentic self and writing and showing that to others in terms of who I am. So, can you tell me first what it means to be? And our topic for today is who are you uninterrupted? What does that mean, and where did that title come from?
Actually, that came from a counseling session that I was having because I stand for therapy,
Mm,
and and I had my counselor ask me that, and I was like, "Wow, that was power." It was poignant because it's like nobody has ever asked me that before, and it forced me to kind of color outside the lines, if you will,
mm-hmm,
because we like to think formally of ourselves, in terms of what we do and how we show up, on the page and how we show up in real life. But it's like, no, for real, when nobody else is looking, when you get a chance to identify yourself, how do you see you?
mm-hmm,
And it was one of my first journal breakthroughs, actually, because like I had got traumatized from journal writing for a while, and it's something that I still muscle through, which is why this workshop is not only serves the audience, but it serves me as well. But
mm-hmm,
um, I was able to define myself outside of my own frame of how I thought of things. And from that, I was able to come back in and do some self exploration.
And the
Because
key word is unedited
yes,
first.
the first one is always unedited, or at least
Hmm.
it should be. And I'm finding that when you come into the page to write "Who Are You Interrupted," it can't be censored either. We have a
Hmm.
tendency to censor ourselves when
Yeah.
we write for fear of what someone else is going to see and or think. But that's your personal space.
And one of the things, as an educator, one of the things that I found that is when young people are uncomfortable or they are interrupted, it translates in how they speak, verbal
Right.
communication. So often they're trying to find the right words to say, and that limits you because if you just say it how it is, or you're not thinking about how someone's going to look at you or think about you or
That part.
measure your intelligence, it will help you the pen will just flow.
It
Writer's
will.
block often comes from that space of self-editing yourself before you even put it on a paper.
Yeah, and it freezes you. And not only freezes you on the page, but it also freezes you in having to publicly speak and or advocate for yourself because you're more concerned with how are you presenting instead of just showing up genuine
Mm,
and and just transparent.
right.
Um it's a stifling process if it's not approached with care and concern, which even shows up in how you critique work.
Right.
You got to be very specific in how when you're offering feedback to assist the person who's writing to continue in the process of writing and not say and or do anything that would stymie their growth.
Mm. So the my rule as a teaching artist, an art educator, is you cannot grade art.
You can't.
There's no such thing as good or bad art.
You
The
can't.
only thing that I, as a teacher, have learned to grade on, because even the system kind of overlaps in the wrong direction, is how well you navigated a technique that I showed you. Because what you'll learn, especially once you get to higher education, your professors, your teachers in general, are teaching you based on how they were taught. Because
Exactly.
that's all we have to really go by. Because as if you're learning to become a teacher, you're still learning from your teachers. Your pedagogy, how you teach, becomes a kind of a capsulized version of all the teachers. When I'm in theater class, I hear Professor Courts coming from me. I can
Hmm.
hear that in my classroom management style, in my ability to be able to get your attention or deliver the information. Everybody that I've come across, it's been a part of how I teach. But as educators, as parents, anybody who is teaching something, you cannot grade someone on good or bad scales when it comes to anything creative. You have to teach them from a space of how well have they captured or uh, taken in the technique,
That
because
part,
that. Hmm.
yeah, and ask them, and it becomes an appreciative inquiry at that part.
Hmm.
Tell me what your journey was. You start asking the questions to fuel them in the right direction to continue on that path. New times call for new tools.
Right. Right.
So, yeah, it becomes instead of because art is also subjective. You can't
Yes.
really grade it, but it's also subjective. So it becomes an inquiry of, well, walk me through your process. What inspired you to do this? What do you want me as the person
Hmm.
who's viewing this art or hearing this art or to take away? How am I to be affected by seeing this?
Mm. And often those follow-up questions, when the teacher or the giver in that situation is educating, that will then help you to be able to flush out things that that person may be overlooking or overthinking,
And I
to be
think
able to
because we're
give them those.
artists, not to cut you off, I'm so
Go ahead,
sorry.
go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
But I think as artists, we're sensitive to that because
Hmm.
because we know how we approach our art. So,
Right.
you know, and we're very, very sensitive about our stuff. So with that in mind, it you don't want to tread on anybody else's creativity.
Exactly.
If
Because
any
this is often what students hear when you tell them this is bad or this is not good. Your thoughts are bad. Your dreams are bad. Your inspiration or your what's on your heart is bad. That's what children are hearing. That's what people who are being taught are hearing when we give them such harsh criticism that has nothing to do with helping them, as Ms. Jackie said, get to their final point, get to their
Mhm.
final outcome, because that's what they're hearing. Opposed to you saying, well, those follow-up questions that Mama Jackie just asked, those are more appropriate for editing a student or critiquing someone. You know, if you don't see the point in their work, ask them. So what
Yeah.
was your inspiration? What was your point? You know, opposed to just telling them that it was bad or it wasn't good. And that is a horrible way to teach anyone something or
The
support
other
them.
point of view is to tell them how that piece makes you feel.
Mm,
Because again, we
mm,
talking the subjectivity of art. How are you affected by what you're seeing?
mm-hmm. Right,
How
right.
that touched you in your spirit. If it touched you in your spirit, what's your
Mhm.
takeaway as the observer?
Exactly, exactly.
Because what you're trying to do is help them continue to stay on the path of whatever it is that they're doing, whatever medium they're working in. And it also helps them to frame when it comes to sitting down and saying, okay, I gotta start applying for these grants. It gives them an opportunity to think about how to frame
Hmm.
how they see themselves when nobody
And
else
this,
is talking.
as Mama Jackie just brought up a different subject, so it's not confusing to anybody that will listen to this. We're speaking today is the topic of today is who are you uninterrupted, creating a captivating um expression of who you are. And
Mm-hmm.
that will be needed in how you write posts about your brand or your business or your artistry. Or in grants, now we're seeing and we have sections in grants where they want to know who you are as it pertains to what you're asking them for, money for. Anybody giving you money, they're going to ask you about yourself because they want to know if your integrity and your artistry meet together. And they want to know who you are and what you've done. If you're asking for $5,000 to be able to do student-led projects, and you can't speak about who you are in terms of working with students, that will be an easy way to get you off that list of potential candidates to get funding. So we're working today in a space of helping you to be able to write your narrative and create captivating or interesting things about yourself and being able to express that to people written in social media, grants, so on and so forth. So without further ado, I'm going to bring up our slides for today so we can get right to the business of work.
So, but this is basically called, as we said before, Who Am I Uninterrupted? Where the focus is to create a compelling artist statement. Basically, when you're standing in a room and you realize before you came into the room there was 3,000 other people who entered the room before you, what makes you stand out? Why should I offer you any funding for doing what you want to do? So, how do you define yourself? When I had this opportunity to express this on paper, this is what I came up with. Because most people think of me as an artist and as an actor and as a performer. But
Mhm.
I said, I am a musician. I express myself mathematically. Music is a mathematical expression, and I am that. I struggled with math as a child because I was told what I couldn't be, when in fact, the truth about me was simply this: understanding innately, music was my connection to holiness, to God Himself. My music would always seek a way to express itself in dance, in singing, in my poetry, in acting, where I got access to all of it. Uninterrupted, I'm a mathematician who expresses through music, always on the two and four. never on the 1 and 3. I hear it, even when language fails.
So first of all, Mama Jackie, she gonna show me how to do that. I'm gonna challenge her to show me how to do that. Also, if you're in the comment section, whether you're on YouTube or Facebook, I have put the link in the bio if you want to join the conversation and come on this platform live with us. Otherwise, put your comments, your questions in the comment section, and Mama Jackie and I will read them accordingly. And Mama Jackie, for you, just tell me go to the next slide whenever you're
Okay,
ready.
well, let's go to the next slide. So the goal in that self-definition, how to create our statement, is to understand the importance of an artist statement in conveying your vision. In understanding and conveying your vision, you want to develop a concise yet impactful artist statement that reflects you and your story. You also want to be able to receive constructive feedback to refine and elevate your statement. So to the point of which you were saying about, receiving critiques about your artwork, I
Mhm.
would I would invite the artist itself that when you're hearing constructive criticism, take notes.
So as the artist, when I'm getting feedback, take notes in terms of what I hear or
Mm-hmm.
what they're saying.
And how what you hear and what they're saying.
Okay.
Because I mean, especially when you come into the inquiry with I statements on how that particular piece of work makes you feel, you
Mm-hmm.
as the observer, and you as the audience, how does that make you feel? Because you understand you're affecting people.
Mm-hmm.
So when you hear those kinds of critiques, positive or instructive, because we're not even trying to hear negative. If you're not trying to help me grow, I invite you to sift that on out, because that's not
Mm-hmm.
serving you. Find the things that you can use to help refine and elevate your statement. Let's go to the next one.
So I was in my book. I was listening.
So the first step is we're going to explore the essence of your artistic journey from its origins. Where did your journey begin? So you're going to ask questions like, this is the part where you self-discover.
Okay.
This is a self exploration, which should be in your life a continuous process in which the effort to better understand yourself and understand that this self exploration is continuous and it's persistent. So you're
Can
going to
I
ask
give
yourself,
you can so I did this step. Can I give you my example? Or you want
sure,
me to wait till after you?
no, let's have it.
I was reading the slides. So I wrote, Nate Couser, a versatile artist from Baltimore City, embarked on his creative journey at Coppin State University, focusing on urban arts and acting. Now, at 40, it took me a minute to write that number down. He manages and hosts the Artist Exchange radio show. While serving as a senior producer and executive producer of his platform, Nate's talent shines on stages, earning praises from roles like Get Low and Pearly and Ron in Insurrection Holding History. He also channels his emotions into VashtiBlue studio, finding solace and expression after his grandmother's passing. For a decade, Nate has mentored aspiring artists across the DMV area, instilling crucial life skills and fostering community connections. Guided by influential women in his life, he values integrity, creativity, and supporting others. His true passion lies in empowering young artists to make a meaningful impact, honoring those who shaped his values. That's
That's a
what I
good
wrote.
thing, because let me tell you what I heard. I heard where your journey began.
Hmm.
I heard also the main elements that define who you are, and in particular, your narrative. I'm
Okay.
hearing contribution. I'm
Okay.
hearing mentorship. So those things are very, very important.
Okay.
And as far as writing that number 40 down, I'm gonna holler at you when you're 68, okay? Yeah, that part.
But you know what that feeling is when you were just young, tender, and 25, and then you got to say stuff like 40. plus
Yeah,
or
well,
whatever.
in a way, kind of, sort of, because I kind of started late in the game. I was 37
Okay.
when I first hit the stage, so
Okay.
I wasn't
Okay.
much younger than you. So, you
Okay.
know, and mind you, when I started at Coppin, I was already in my late 40s, early 50s. So
Okay.
that age piece, I can't
Okay.
connect. You know,
I got you. I got you.
yeah, dead is too late. Other than that, other
Right.
than that,
We
as long
working on the dash right now. I
yeah,
got you. I
thank
got
you.
you.
We still on the dash. We ain't
Mm-hmm.
at the end yet, so we still got stuff to do.
Okay.
Um, so those are the things I heard, and as the listener, I hope you're hearing how that was framed and how it's okay to identify your beginnings. It can start with something as, well, when I was born, ellipse.
Mm-hmm.
That's 3 dots. As a child, I enjoyed. Some of my challenges included. My favorite memory is I faced obstacles along the path that I was able to grow by. All of these followed by ellipse. You fill in your own blanks.
Okay.
I've learned.
I like that one.
So you're going to use those kinds of prompts to kind of frame out your narrative. Is that going to be your final product? Absolutely not. But it gets you active on the page first.
Mm-hmm.
So if anything needs to be trimmed down, framed, restructured, whatever, it is always easy to trim it down than to try to build it up.
Yeah.
It's just
And
like
that's one.
acting.
I'll say one of
I'd
my
rather you
hesitations in writing is because I want to include the whole story. And they've asked me one question, but I want all of this to be included. So
and
that's
see that
normally my fault or my bad.
it's not bad. Did
Hmm.
we just not say that there's no such thing as bad art?
It's in our vocabulary.
It is, but we're gonna learn some
Right.
self-compassion.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Okay. We're gonna learn some self-compassion because right now this is process.
Okay.
All right, this is just process. You're trying to get to the meat of it. So it may have to mean you have to go back and tap all the way back to that childhood memory. When did that spark first happen for you? It may have to be that challenge. What was the turning point for you?
Mm,
Because there was some impetus that put you on the path to say, this is what I'm supposed to do.
okay. Okay.
Non-negotiable. This is what I'm supposed to do. And that's your jump off point. Now, I would rather you write too much and I say, okay, let's economize these words.
Okay.
Then for me, it's like, can you tell me more?
Mm,
See the difference?
right.
Yeah,
So having it's best to have more information so you can focus it in and zoom in on a thought versus having to kind of keep pushing step by step.
exactly. Which goes
Hmm.
to the next point, I believe.
Next slide.
Hmm. Why is this necessary? It aids you in giving a clear map of your journey as an individual. See the steps?
Hmm.
If you go all the way back to, if you ask me how did my journey start, I started writing poetry when I was 6.
Mm,
So that's my genesis. So anything that happened from that point to where I am now, there's a mapping that went on in that process that
right.
put me in front of people, that poetry became theater became television, that all became a workshop facilitator, that became a student at Coppin, that became a student at UW. You know what I'm saying? There's a journey that's going on. So you got to map it out, but you got to be able to see it. And again, seeing yourself on paper helps you to reintroduce yourself to you. Because see, we so in the process of doing
Yeah.
and creating and living in the moment, we don't stop and think, if I pull this string all the way back, where's that knot? Where did it begin?
Yeah. It's very important for Black artists to document our work. For
Please.
so long, that one particular thing is what kept us from getting grants. That used to be the way that they kept us from the grants. But now, I mean, I'm saying this because it's been hard for me to like move backwards and try to, like you said, remember all the doing I did and document it and be able to, because now in this world, it's show me what you got, show me what you've done. And now that is how we advertise, promote ourselves, create new platforms for ourselves, is being able to show people what we've done, like physically. Being able to talk about it, being able to write about it, but also being able to show it.
But what you're not showing me is your passion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. And being
Mm-hmm.
able to map out your journey says, what was that spark in you that made you say, okay, for some reason or other, I can't put this particular thing down.
Mm,
Because it's informing everything I do.
right. So what was that spark for you?
It came out of trauma. Blessings come
Mm,
how they come. It's
mm-hmm.
crazy. It's
Yeah.
in the midst of the trauma that I was able to find my sweetest voice.
Mm,
Um, and I think when I started going to poetry, because I for years, I'm talking decades, my work was my work. I shared it with absolutely no one. And I think when I went to my first poetry reading, that I actually found out that there was somebody that was actually interested in hearing what I had to say, that pushed
mm,
the pen forward, that pushed me forward. How I got discovered as an actor was because I was in somebody's poetry. I was in some coffee house somewhere reading poetry. Acting wasn't something I chose.
mm-hmm.
I tell people that all the time. Acting chose me. It was not something I chose. But when I recognized it and I saw myself as a part of that process, I'm like, okay, this is where I fit.
Right.
I'm supposed to be here. So it's come full circle in the fact that not only now do I perform, but I'm asked to contribute as a writer. So I get to bring all of that now.
Okay.
And I get to bring it uninterrupted. I don't have somebody in my ear saying, well, go get a regular job because, yeah, just in case you fail. Failure just was not an option.
Or that thought isn't, I don't like that thought. Rethink that. You're now in spaces where people are seeking your thoughts.
Exactly. Exactly. And if you'd have told me this 30 years ago, I wouldn't have saw it.
Yeah.
Had I not, you know, took it to spirit and said, okay, just show me where I'm supposed to fit. I remember distinctly telling myself the first time I did an open mic and I got paid as a performing artist. I
Mm,
got paid $50 for 15 minutes worth of poetry. I remember going home with that $50 in my hand and said, God, if you can show me how to do this full time, I'll quit my job. It was October 3rd, 1992.
mm,
January 3rd, 1993, I got fired from my job and I kissed my boss
mm.
because now I got to do it.
Yeah.
I don't have an excuse not to do it. I don't have nothing in my way. Did I panic? Heck yeah. Did I stop going to them open mics? Did I stop auditioning? Did I stop doing a heck no? Because I said it. I remember me saying it.
And I'm sure other artists have those thoughts. In some of your craziest real life moments, you hold on to things that benefit you and bless you. And sometimes it looks weird to people, like you're flunking out of college, but you're going to all your art classes. Because that's the one thing that was fueling me and balancing off my outside life. And it may seem strange to other people, but my advice is to push through and the answer will come. Sometimes it comes 10 years apart. Sometimes
Mhm.
sometimes you're 40 and you just getting the answer that you were looking for at 23, but it
Mhm.
comes. It definitely comes.
Life always meets you at your greatest need.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Always at your greatest need.
Yep.
I am a stand for writing in longhand. I can type, I can do all of that, I can edit, all of that. But it's something about that pen to paper that frees your brain
Yeah.
and touches you in your heart space.
I can't write out typing. Like I can, once I have it, I'm reading it and I'm typing and editing myself as I'm going along. But I've always loved people who could just type it out. I thought that was such a murder she wrote type of thing. Like I just, but it has to be on paper for me to be able to see it as I'm going along.
Try it as an
Hmm.
exercise, just as an exercise. Ain't nothing attached to it, you know. And lose that I can't, because you can do
Yeah,
anything. But yeah, just as an exercise, just try it. And as far as you wanted to edit out longhand, even if you type it all out and it's not grammatically incorrect, there's
yeah.
yeah, Windows has spell check and grammar check.
It seems to flow better when you're handwriting something, and I know
It
that's
does.
an art that's kind of they're trying to push out, but it just is a different type of writing for me to write it on a paper. Like I have a bunch of books like this, like a bunch of them that
Mm-hmm.
have I've started writings and then I go buy another book because I don't want to interrupt what I started there. But yeah, it's just something about writing it out that makes more sense to me.
Yeah, it does. And it because and the other thing it helps you do is it helps you think outside the box.
Hmm.
Because when you're
Yeah,
writing, you're free. You
yeah,
absolutely free. It's just, and because you in your own space, you don't have to worry about somebody else going behind you and you reading your work.
hmm,
So now once
yeah,
you've done all of that and you've fleshed out all your feelings, now you get a chance to draw it all back in and frame your narrative. Who am I trying to gear this to?
okay.
Who's my audience?
Next slide.
That also takes the pressure out of having to draft something under pressure because you already got it. I
Okay.
cannot tell you how many times I've gone back through old journals and found poetry, plots,
Mm,
plots for plays, and it all just came out of just organically writing. Nothing, anything in particular, just a whole lot of me. I'm just getting it out my head, getting it out my heart, just getting it on the
right.
page.
A editor said that to me. I'm in the process, a 5 year plus process of writing a book, and she said to me, when you go back and read, it's great to journal because even if it doesn't make sense, it was a thought or a happening happened at that time.
Yep,
And what happens when you go back to that journal writing or something you wrote years later, experience is now looking at those words. And
absolutely.
now you're connecting an experience with something that had just happened or may have started in that moment as a thought or action.
Yeah, couldn't have said it better. Couldn't have
Yeah.
said it better. Yeah. So let's go to the next slide. Okay, you feel like writing?
I'm I got my book, I got my pen.
So I don't know what that music was the brother was playing, but it sounded like some Miles Davis or something. That jazz
Where
he was playing in the background when I had everybody do the writing exercise.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, that was fly. I was like, and I said that's a good DJ too. So whoever
Hmm.
that brother is, tell him I love.
She
Um,
actually was a sister. It was actually a sister.
I stand corrected thoroughly. Please, peace to the queen.
Hmm.
Yeah, because the fact that she was able to go from Baltimore club music to
Uh-huh.
house music, and then she just fell in that jazz so sweet, and I'm like, that's perfect music to write with.
DJ Ducky is her name.
Jaki, okay,
Hmm.
yeah, please give her my love. If you want hit DJ Ducky, big ups,
I'll
mama.
tag
That's
I'll tag
it.
make sure to tag her in it.
You did that. You did that. So think about it. Always look at your writing as a breakthrough exercise.
Okay.
Think of it, it's the original therapy before we started paying counselors and whatnot and sitting on couches and do this is what you
Hmm.
did. This is what you did. So can we take about 5-10 minutes?
Okay.
Okay. And write as much as you can, as far back as you can, and about remembering your genesis as an artist.
Okay.
So no pressure. Just feel free to just reminisce. Should I set my clock or you got it over there?
I got it. I got it. I got it.
Okay.
I'm gonna
Okay.
put up a
For those of you who are listening, yeah, this is your time to sit down and just flow.
so your writing prompt is this right. So I'm
Just
gonna put that up on the screen so they can read just that.
okay. Let me know when we finish and when
Okay.
we at time.
Okay. 30 seconds. And we're back.
Let's go to the next slide. How was that for you?
Um, Interesting enough, I can't remember stuff that happened 5 minutes ago, but I have a vivid memory of my childhood. I remember as I wrote about one of my first thoughts um being potty trained. And remember those little, they were like little brown potty chairs and they had like a white part for the pot. And
Mm-hmm.
I remembered how uncomfortable the male insert part was. I can
Mm.
remember how uncomfortable it was because it's like a little piece that goes in to keep the boys from peeing outside of
Outside.
the.
Yeah.
And I remembered how uncomfortable that was. And my mother told me I was potty trained a little after I turned 1. So I remember that far back. Um,
Wow. That's
yeah.
impressive.
I, re- I spoke about, the house that we lived in at the time. And I remember what the first, for some reason, I can't remember what the second story looked like, but I remember what the first floor looked like, the layout, those tiny homes on Winchester. I
Oh yeah.
remember
Oh yeah.
I lived directly behind the school and maybe like a block from the Avenue Market. I
Okay.
remember that space vividly. I remember what the backyard looks like. I remember what the first floor looked like. We lived right on the corner and there was an alley next door.
Hmm.
So my memory goes back that far. Now, 5 minutes ago, I don't know what to tell you.
That's
But
interesting. Long-term memory is something not to be taken lightly.
hmm
But how do you know? For all you know, that might be the genesis of a story. That might
yeah,
be your book. That might be your book. You never know.
yeah.
So this is why exploration becomes very important, which is why I go back to those journals that you wrote.
hmm
Yeah, go back through them and find your bullet points, the key
Okay.
elements that define your unique narrative.
Mm.
Yeah. What is the story about when you felt free to be creative in whatever genre you're drawn to?
Mm. That's interesting that's seen. I'm trying to be a student in this moment. So I follow the directions. And so that's where I just went back to my very first thoughts.
Yeah. When I was a child. Yeah.
hmm
That's where it starts. Because it always has it, everybody has their beginning. And mine's before it was poetry, it's I always wanted to be a ballerina.
Mm.
I did. And I was like, first of all, I've been blessed.
What did they tell you your booty was too big too? Because that
Well,
was my
my butt, yeah, and my legs were too short. But it
tuck it
wasn't so
in,
much
tuck it
them.
in.
It wasn't so much them, and I don't think they knew Missy Copeland was coming, but I digress.
Mm.
Because
Right?
mama got body yaddy yaddy for real.
hmm Yeah.
But it was my father who always told me black folk don't ballet.
Mm.
And that absolutely crushed my spirit.
Yeah.
Fast forward, it's 1968, the riots are going on. I'm just shy of turning 12 years old. And we're watching public television. And who happens to come on the TV? Dance Theater Harlem.
Oh. Wow.
And I drug my father from the kitchen to the living room and just pointed.
Mm.
Ever tell me what black folks can't do. After that, as much as I loved and obeyed my parents, when it came to artistic decisions, I took little stock in what they had to say because
And it's an understanding and what is crazy, some of us start from that point of conflict and it takes years for us. Like for me, it took me being almost twice the age my parents were when they had me. For me to understand that sometimes a parent can't give you what they never got.
that
And
part,
their fears will lead them to stifle you if
absolutely.
something doesn't interfere. Like
Well,
you
it
so
doesn't.
happen to go to this school and meet this teacher and go to this program. Like that string of things happen to open you back up.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
much so that when I saw my mother doing it with my sisters, oh please, we went back and
hmm
forth. Do not do that
Yeah.
again.
hmm
You did it to me. I'm not gonna let you do it to my sister. Well,
Yeah.
I don't have the money to do what you need.
mm, yeah.
Because what you're not gonna do is do that again.
Yeah.
Please, nothing else. Get the lesson from me.
Yeah.
So even though, well, what if they decide they don't want it? Then they just decide they don't want it, but not for a lack of exploration.
Yeah.
You
Or
know,
opportunity.
absolutely.
Yeah. It is that is why I believe the Black Arts District here in Baltimore is necessary. I think because we create differently,
We do.
and it's not that is better, but we create differently, and our work comes from within. And for
It's
so
more
long, we've been
utilitarian.
Right. We've been taught that our work is too easy. There's no work in it. There's no, you know, complication in it. So it's never considered fine art. And then you have these awesome examples of what creativity is. And you're awestruck when they actually do, when we experience our own art and when others experience our own art. I love watching people, and I know if I can just get you in the door, if I know if you just come to this one show, I know it's going, and most times it turns them all the way around. And
Hmm.
now they have to do the same thing with someone else. And I just want people to open their minds up enough to just be able to come into the room and experience it. It will show you how our work like this. I was listening to the prompts that you had, and I think I wrote down I've learned. That was my writing prompt. So
Hmm.
even in going through this, I started from when I was a child. Just
Hmm.
how we create, how our life imitates art is such an amazing thing.
It really is. It really is. Um, so it goes back to you discovering who you are in that moment.
Yeah.
And oh, the
Yeah.
point I wanted to make about that was it doesn't look easy to everybody else because art for us as children of the diaspora is a very utilitarian practice.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect example, that beautiful piece of mud cloth that you wear on your
Uh-huh.
page, that could be a wall hanging, that could be a tablecloth, that could
Hmm.
be, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
It could be stretched and framed. And it could be body art if you wear it. So
Mm-hmm.
we have a very, and because we have a very non-traditional way of addressing art for us is like our music. It's life. It's part and parcel of community. So
Hmm.
because we look at it differently, it appears effortless to everyone else.
Right.
But in
Right.
actuality, it stands just as valid as everyone else.
Mhm. The
So
complication came in the lived experience of what we're creating from.
exactly.
So it doesn't take so much more on the back end or the front end to further complicate it. Sometimes it's just tapping into it and it just
That's it.
flows out. Yeah.
That's it.
Hmm.
That's it. It's already in you. It's already hardwired in your DNA. So, like you said, just tapping into it. I remember when you started making jewelry when we were at Coppin. And I remember
Yeah.
as I'm thinking, I'm like, okay, this could be one or two things because we were struggling, baby.
Mm.
I said, this could be one or two things. This can be a way to help him get through school, or this can be something for real. And so
When
here
I
I
but
am at,
when I tell you that is a story all in of itself. So typically, so right now I'm building a website, and that's the section that I'm on. So that story is like I said, my long term memory is so right now. It's so I can tap into it because that me making jewelry, it was just that. I was trying to find a way to get rid of I was non-traditional, even at 21, 22, coming into a campus where it was 17, 18-year olds.
exactly.
And I had to figure out how to get rid of this day job and how to better do it. And the art of jewelry design was first brought to me in therapy when my grandmother was killed. And it was something she was like, well, you're an artist, so take this class because maybe traditional therapy isn't the best for you. So try this. And I tried it and sit it down. And then it wasn't until I was on a campus, the very next year, actually, after that happened, and someone showed me, like my friend Missy Lane, she showed me, and that's always my origin story. So Missy Lane brought it back up and taught me how to make jewelry. Tanelia gave me my first check from something totally different that she was giving me money for, and I wound up using that $400 that Tanelia gave me to legally start my business. And then it was a string of other people who, like, all you all bought something from me, or it started on campus. Like,
It
it
did.
literally started there. So
I
my
remember.
jewelry company story is like is a string of Black women supporting me. That's the origin of, like, so I get it. I get it. You just gotta help me get it on the paper.
So
Get it
you
on
gonna
the
get it.
paper.
So it goes to that third bullet. How would
Hmm.
you craft? How would you craft that discovery in words to reflect you for an audience
Yeah.
or in front of a panel full of auditors?
Mm,
Because
yeah.
I remember I physically bore witness. And matter of
Hmm.
fact, I have a couple of VashtiBlue pieces, in my
Now
and
they're not this disclaimer to the world. They're not the best, but they were honestly,
we
you
self
know.
we self
No,
compassion.
I'm saying it to say, but I was really creating in the space of, I don't know what I'm doing, but I just know it's going to be an outcome to this. And that was one of the first times that I actually felt, oh my God, I was about to cry. I felt in control of my destiny.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know when. I didn't know I would still be doing this almost 20 years later.
You've been
I had no idea. Tracy was the person who made me want to physically start making jewelry because she had no pierced ears. So my challenge was to make jewelry for Tracy to wear. I wanted to make stuff that Tanelia only like purple stuff, so I got to make something for purple. You and Mama, you and Professor Quartz only, you love authentically African stuff.
Oh yeah.
It was sad to me to learn that Dr. Wanza passed away because every time she was in charge of something, she made sure I had a booth to sell my jewelry, and it was horrible. It was horrible. I can look at it now in terms of what I've learned today, but this is me. I have all the memories, but I will say the difficulty has been for me capsulizing that in words
Okay.
that are profound, that are creative, that are expressive, that are professional, so I
Mm.
can promote said stuff. This is how I get people to buy my stuff. I tell people these stories when they come to my table, and that's how people fall in love with it. That's honestly how it's happened. Now it's how do I put this in words when I put a pair of earrings on display on my social media, or I put it for sale on my website? How do I write a description that's as profound, so I don't have to keep bringing up this started because someone was killed? I don't want to do that, but I want to talk about her memory and the
So
lineage
that's your
of
start
Black
point.
women who supported me in this company.
So that's your start point.
Mm,
That's your start point. So that comes part of the crafting.
mm.
How do you, in order to draw that audience, you could write a synopsis and just rest that on your table in the side of a beautiful frame.
Ooh. And it's something to talk to people, but it's something about that written word because sometimes they don't see you. They
Mm-hmm.
may be just coming across my page, they found it, or somebody told them about this jewelry designer guy in Baltimore, and they just read that statement. And I've seen how that story has made someone come back to me every Christmas or
Mm-hmm.
every holiday or whenever they got to give a gift or whenever they're going out and need something to wear with it. But yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Nah, we
Got
should
me.
have had this conversation 20 years ago.
No, we having it when we supposed to have it.
Right. Yep.
We having it when we supposed to have it. Let's go to the next page.
Okay.
Now, these are the questions you ask yourself.
Mm.
Does my writing style ignite excitement and curiosity with my audience? At Fool's Bullet, have I grabbed their attention in the first 5 seconds, or are they reaching for their smartphones? I think the
Mm.
rudest thing to happen to you when you being audited is to have somebody sitting in the room in your face texting.
Mm.
That
Yeah.
says everything.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
You're not selling it. Because if you ain't grabbed their attention in the first 5 seconds, you're not selling it. The
Right.
second part is, or you just dealing with somebody rude, and do you really even want that? Because see, you got some saying that too.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
want somebody, you want somebody to fund your work that is invested in you. And if they're not, please let me not waste your time, and please don't waste mine.
And that's and sidebar, one of the reasons like I went to the district and said we gotta figure out how to do this workshop again with the technical issues because it was a pin drop in that room. If a pin would have dropped, we would have all heard it because people
Wow.
wanted. It's very, and it was a room full of Black people in various ages, but people are struggling to be able to express themselves in a world that has forever told us we wasn't good enough, we wasn't
Hmm.
smart enough, it wasn't profound enough. And now we're all in spaces where we know we have to, even if you got a 9 to 5, I gotta be able to have my own business, or I gotta put myself out there. And part of that is being able to tell your story. So I knew everybody in that room was actively listening, even if they were pretending that they wasn't, or they know
Exactly.
it all. I already know this. I'm already a good writer. If you had some people who were writers that were coming up to the screen wanting to get input.
And that's fine. I'm a good
Hmm.
writer too. I'm a published writer. But I promise
Hmm.
you, when I was writing my master's thesis,
Right.
I sure wouldn't found me an editor. Don't rest on your laurels, which goes back to that point. Don't think that you're so good a writer that you're incapable of making mistakes. When I had to go through 7
Right.
revisions of my thesis
Hmm.
before I finally got that part of my degree confirmed. It's one thing to walk across the stage, it's another one to say, "Here you are, Miss Terry, here's your MFA.
Mm.
You've earned this." And every time my advisor kept finding mistakes, kept finding flaws, and they were simple mistakes.
Yeah.
And like I said, please, I worked in academic resources. That's all I did. If I wasn't working at the library at night, that's what
Hmm.
I did. I immersed in English, but sometimes you get so close to the work, you can't see
Yeah.
it.
It's just like musicians or music artists that write their own stuff, produce their own stuff, publish their own stuff. It's all from their point of view. There's been no outside eyes to be able to see it. And
Never
it has nothing to do with
underestimate that.
expert or not, but those outside eyes will help you to see stuff that you overlooked.
Absolutely. So always edit your work before you submit it. Don't
Mm.
ever, ever, ever think that your writing is so on point that you don't need a second pair of eyes.
Mm.
And at some
Yeah.
point, around the third revision, I called my girl over at Paulette Moore. I'm like, "Girl, my eyes, I can't. This hurts."
Hmm.
And she helped me frame it.
Okay.
She helped me frame it. She helped me refine it. She helped me tie it down. Make sure all my work was cited, because that's the thing that they're trying to burn Black professors on now for plagiarism.
Hmm.
No, so make sure all my work was cited, referenced. I mean, we went through it thoroughly.
Mm.
So it helped me to appreciate moving forward that I don't care how good a writer I am, and I consider myself a very credible writer. Don't ever think that your writing game is so fly that you don't need a second pair of eyes. Sometimes a third.
Hmm.
Because at the end of the day, you're trying to get the grants. You're trying to get in
Yeah.
front of people who are going to make a difference in your life. So how much you invest in yourself. And that's how you got to look at it. You're investing in yourself. You're investing in
Hmm.
your brand.
Yeah.
So if you're
But
not,
you also, and I see that side of it, but for
mhm,
me, for people who our origin story is so vast, but it's still not connected to us. We can celebrate our Africanism all day long, but we can pinpoint with DNA, but we don't know 100%. So for us to be in a space right now where stuff like this that you're teaching is so valuable to be able to capture what we do have
mhm,
and what we do know and be able to articulate that to others, it's going to make us so much more wealthier as a individual and as a collective, in my opinion.
I agree. One of the things about us that I absolutely love and take stock in is no matter what our struggle is, we always see ourselves in the future.
Mm.
We do not even contemplate the reality that there will be a future where we're not present.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we have to look at our work in that manner. What kind of
Whew.
legacy? Yeah, kind of
Mm,
legacy am I leaving? You
yeah,
know, what kind of information am I leaving for the next generation to build off of?
that's one of the reasons. Like, and me looking, that was something that I thought separate from you just saying that, and it was one of the reasons why. So behind us is Graffiti Alley.
Oh yeah, I
Um,
know where it is.
so I keep that image with me as a teacher because often this is considered bad behavior in any other light outside of what this alley is. And
Mm-hmm.
often young people tag stuff and graffiti stuff because it's ownership. I own this until the next person writes over top of it. And
Mm-hmm.
that and me reading out your slides the other night, I was like, I gotta make sure my picture from Graffiti Alley is up because that connects bad behavior with it's for a reason
See,
though.
when I look at that, I see hip hop.
It's hip hop. It's
I just
ownership
see hip
of
hop.
our narrative though.
Absolutely. I see hip hop. It's one of my
Hmm.
favorite places in Baltimore is Graffiti Alley.
Hmm.
To,
Yes.
to
Yes.
this day. To this
Yep.
day.
Yep.
So let's go to the next slide.
Okay.
Don't ever, 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 ever be afraid to ask for feedback. So going back to the first part, make sure you're taking meticulous notes when somebody is giving you feedback about your work
Mm,
because it allows you the opportunity to refine and raise the statement to the next level.
okay.
And never, ever, ever forget that this is you are representing you and your brand on paper. And you always want to show up in your Sunday best.
Hmm.
Always.
Mm. So um th- so we have about 10 more minutes to go. And this part, I wanted to one say thank you for completing this. Um, and for me, that's my life as an artist, educator, just a person. I want to complete things, even if we got to go back and refresh and redo it better the next time. But just to complete things instead of just walking away and just washing your hands of things. So I thank you for completing this. Um, and I look forward to the other three parts. Um,
There to be.
also, um, going back to like the jewelry stuff, it made me think about my experience in meeting you, Mama Jackie. And I don't think you realize how much of a blessing you were to many of us who had, at such a young age, gave up on hope. Like, even though we were still doing and we've been doing and finding a way and making a way, seeing someone like you and Carl and Tommy Davis and now Mama Rashida and all of these individuals who could have lived on your experience and did not have to finish something like a degree.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't really think you realize how much of them 20 somethings and teens were looking to you all. Even now, looking at how far you've come in your second breath and now your third breath of life, um, realizing, how much that type of representation is needed. I don't think in a moment I really thought we would be here in this moment sharing the experience, but I wanted to say thank you for all of you all, but specifically you, because I saw you in class at work and doing the work that is necessary when so many of us at our ages was like, man, this is for the birds, getting discouraged and not knowing how to break through. That some of us are just coming out of that discouraged moment, but
Mm-hmm.
seeing you come back and finish, and then not only finish but continue going, and now living in a space. And I know life ain't perfect for anybody, no matter what we magically make it look like on social media. But just thank you for this. Thank you for the example that you set, and just being encouraging and having a pack of oatmeal or apple for a student who was just trying to find my way when there was no examples in my bloodline of what this could be. So I appreciate you and thank you for that alone, if not for nothing else, for that alone. So being
And
40 doesn't feel bad. It just feels like, oh, let me get over this hill. Let me push a little bit harder.
see you when you're 68, okay?
Uh,
It ain't over, sweetheart. I please.
mhm,
And when you get here, please, Lord, let me live long enough to see it so I can sit back and go, I told you.
mhm. Yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah.
coming. Like even sitting here today, it was so many ideas talking about a thesis.
Mhm.
Um, it takes moments like this to bring stuff to the surface and make it seem real, palatable, and capable. I'm capable of it and
Yeah.
deserving.
That
So
and
yeah.
beyond. That and
Hmm.
beyond. That
Hmm.
beyond. I think Marianne, what is it? Marianne Williamson that said, "Is our fear is not being inadequate."
Mm,
Yeah,
yeah.
our fears. We're not inadequate. We're greater than we can even see ourselves.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you, it. I came to Compton on a dare.
Hmm.
Because at the time when I decided to go back to school, I was working at a transitional housing program for first time teen mothers.
Okay.
And one of my residents, 16 years old, got her GED when she was 16.
Mm,
And because she was determined, she wanted to break generational curses. Well,
hmm.
yesterday she turned 38. So
Oh
Shantae,
wow.
yeah, okay. So I remember
Wow.
telling her, now that you got your GED, you can't just sit around and not do anything, babe. You got a daughter.
Hmm.
So her observation was, well, Miss Jackie, you got your own car, you got your own house, you making good money, you didn't finish school.
Mm.
So I was
They're
like,
watching us.
oh,
They're watching us. They're watching us.
challenge,
Yes.
challenge.
Mm.
So she said, I tell you what, I'll go to school if you go.
Mm.
Say less.
Mm.
She enrolled at B Triple C, and I went to the University of Phoenix. How
Mm.
I ended up at Coppin was a mini course we had done a production of from the Mississippi Delta. So it was
Mhm.
me, Judy Anderson, and Tania.
Mm.
And Dr. Wilner got me going up to the fifth floor. Grace Jacobs said, so how you doing over there at Phoenix? I said, I'm doing okay, Me and algebra ain't getting along, but other than that,
It's something about that algebra,
poor
baby.
child. But I finally got it. But I'm like, I
Mhm.
got statistics next semester. She said, but what's your GPA looking at? And I think I was holding something like a 3.5.
Mhm.
So she said, well, so what's your major? And at the time, my major was economics.
Okay.
So she's like, well, okay. She said, I'm sure you probably excellent economics. She said, but that's not where your passion is.
Mm.
I said, what do you mean? She said, I saw your passion on stage.
Mm.
So if you're going to pay to go to school, at least do what you love. So
Mhm.
I got this new program because Urban Arts program was started by
It was
her.
just yeah. Yeah.
So I'm like, okay. So me being the business major, it's like, okay, we going down on the elevator to Subway because I'm hungry.
Mhm.
You got 30 seconds from the fifth floor to the first floor, Grace Jacobs, and across the lot, the TARS, to convince me why I should come to Coppin. By the time I got off the elevator, I walked past TARS and went straight to admissions
Mm.
and started that September.
That is. Oh my God.
Well, had she not seen
Mhm.
something,
Yeah.
what would that story have been? So, all thanks and praise to Dr. Judith Wilmer. And when I did my master's presentation, when I did Ma Rainey's Black Bottom,
Mhm.
she came to Wisconsin to see me perform.
Mm.
Slept on my couch. She sure did, because I would not let her get a room. No, you're not.
Mm.
Mm-mm.
Mm.
Mm-mm.
Mm.
You get to stay in my house with me. And she did.
And and maybe once in my mind, I've heard several people's origin stories in terms of how they got to that school particularly, and even mine, it was not. in the cards, I was supposed to be at somebody's nursing home over east, future care, taking care of old people right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember going to this workshop center and them telling me, okay, so you got your nursing, certification. I got this job for you. It's over east. I remember getting off that bus. I think I was on Frankfurt Avenue or something.
Okay,
And
it was East.
yeah,
Whoo, child.
Sedonia. I remember it.
Yeah.
I remember standing, I got off the bus and I was looking across the street at this nursing home. And I said to myself, this ain't it. And in my heart, I just went through clinicals, all of this. And I looked at it and I was like, can I see myself getting here every morning?
Mm-hmm.
Can I see this happening? And I selfishly said no. And I walked past across the street and got on the bus to take me back over west. And I remember the very next day, the man said, so how did it go? Everything good? What are you here for? And I was like, you had said something about college. Ooh. I said, you said something about college and I want to do that. He was like, so what are you going to do for work? I was like, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I had a little job and I actually found a regular job after that, but I knew that wasn't it. And when I tell you how people were lined up to get me into Coppin, into Morgan actually at first, but it was
Oh, yeah.
Morgan at first, but people lined up to get me there and it was no work. It was no work. I went to go take a test at Morgan. I went to go take a test at Coppin. Coppin wound up getting me in faster. And when I say it was not meant to be, it wasn't meant. Like I wound up skipping over nursing, skipping over education, and walking past the table with Chrissy sitting at the table.
Okay.
And she said, hey, you ever thought about being in theater? And I had did theater my whole life. Did not think I was coming to Coppin to be a theater anything. And it was just things line up in your path. So you don't have no say in it.
Mm-mm.
None.
Mm-mm.
None
Mm-mm.
whatsoever. So just knowing
Mm-mm.
how I got to that space and how much I deserved to be in that space. And then initially it took me years after leaving Coppin to realize I deserved to be there. But yeah, this what I do for the artist exchange is for my people like Miss Jackie and figuring out how we can make this work with what we have.
Mm.
And now thinking beyond that, like thriving instead of struggling and surviving. But this is all what this is for. And even the artist exchange, all that started at Coffee. Every single thing that I
Yeah,
do
it is.
creatively now, the people I know, the things I'm connected with, started with a choice. Because I could have just went and wiped tails until I retired and probably
Mm-hmm.
been caught up in a pandemic and sick but I could have been there, and fast forward, my sister, who is a couple years younger than me, she decided to go and further her education. And I pushed her and I kept saying to her, just being a CNA is not enough. It's just not. And as angry as she was with me, I think she got it. Now she's gotten it. And for me to be able to pass something like that on to her, now she's going to school. Like that makes me feel like all of that I struggled through was for something. Even if it was just to help her, it was for something. But again, I thank you for today. I thank you for completing this. I thank you for giving yourself this opportunity to be able to show all that you know to people who may not know you or may need to know you. But I'm going to share this with every single breathing artist that I know because it's necessary and is needed. Um, so any final remarks, any thoughts of what's next or how can we reach you or what are
Well,
your services and such?
I do acting coaching. I'm available for that. I'm also available for workshops such as this, and my group ranges anywhere from K-12 to beyond. And you can reach me at JackieTerry@gmail.com. My Facebook, you can hit me on my page, or you can send me an invitation through Instagram. I do have a private page, but if you send me an invitation, I'll definitely click you and add you on. And you can hit me up in my DM on Facebook, and I'll make sure that to get back at you if you have any questions or concerns.
And like I said, whatever I can do, Mama Jackie, I'm here. Whatever abilities or platforms I have, you will be included, and you are already included on them. And look out for more of this information. For all the people that will be watching this after the show, please take advantage, get this information. Do not contact Mama Jackie if you're not ready. Do not do it. Do not contact me if you're not ready, but I will help you get ready on the flip side of that. So thank you for tuning in. The Artist Exchange. We'll be coming back. We'll have a schedule for when Mama Jackie will be back with part 2, 3, and 4. And then who knows? Mama Jackie might be her own host of her own show soon. So who knows?
Your mouth to God's ears.
So we're gonna work it out, and we're gonna make it happen. So toodaloo. Enjoy your post-eclipsed day if you were here on the East Coast. And thank you all for tuning in. Peace out, everybody.
Artist Exchange.
The Artist Exchange. The Artist Exchange. The Artist Exchange.
The Artist Exchange.
Artist Exchange Live.
The Artist Exchange.